Soundstripe. 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 Soundstripe.
Good morning, Vietnam. Who said that? Jeff B. Welcome. Good morning. Chef, game one in the books. Rangers looked hot. They sure did. They looked good. They looked really good. They looked in control, man. If they can do that, we're looking good. Morning, everyone. Welcome back. We're back. Feeling good, feeling refreshed. Looks like some nice opportunities to end the week. Unfortunately, didn't really catch anything, but that's fine. You know, it wasn't really one of the first I would say one of the first trips I really disconnected, which I think is necessary at times. So felt good to step away. I like when the market goes up when I step away because I can see my long-term portfolio go up without me doing anything. So that's good. That was a good plus of the trip. I'd rather be making money on the long term than be losing while I'm not watching. ADR crushed it. Awesome. Happy to hear that. Yeah, definitely shout out ADR for her help in the group as I was gone. She always does a great job. Pura vida. Pura vida. Yeah, Costa Rica. What a fun, awesome place. If you guys have visited Costa Rica, really nice. Really pretty. A lot of views. Mountains, beaches, black sand beaches. Something I've never seen before. So that was a very cool experience. Mustache is gone. We had the mustache going. That was just for the trip. The Bachelor wanted everyone to have mustaches. Not sure why, but I played by the rules. Morning, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome. Back to the streams. Monday morning. Nice upside end the week last week. Thursday, Friday. Post FOMC. Some nice holds of the 100 SMA on the ES. That was very clean last week. Apple earnings definitely helping us higher as well. So that was clean to see as well. Some nice looking charts out there today. Did I go? AT1. I'm just going to say, if you know, you know. That's what I'll say. But I did not partake in those activities. No, I did not. A1. Not really my thing there, my friend. But yeah, what a crazy place that is. What a crazy place that is. For sure. Nothing quite like that. Yeah, hopefully TB did a good job for some of you guys if you watched TB's stream. So thanks, TB, for covering there. All right. Let's do it. Let's get started early. You got a lot to go over. So welcome back, guys. Once again, thanks again for stopping in. Hopefully you guys, every time you take a little break from some of the stuff that we do, like YouTube and making videos, stuff like that, you always lose a little bit of momentum, which is a tough part of making, content, because it's like you always have to keep going. You can never stop. And thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for sticking with me. Hopefully you guys are finding value from the stream. So let's do it again. Press that like button if you guys could as you hop in. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Let's start with the earnings, or let's start with the economic calendar as always. Pretty light. Pretty light on the economic calendar. You guys can see right here. Oh, look at that. Albert Einstein. Oh, don't want to do that. Oh, I need to bring hold on 1 second. I got to get my Demo Pro. Sometimes Demo Pro just goes away for some reason. Let me get that pulled up again. There we go. All right. Albert Einstein to start the morning over here on the left side. Not bad. It's a good sign. Let's all be Albert Einsteins this week. All right. So today, some FOMC members speaking. Doesn't look like it has very major impacts, but you guys could keep an eye on that around 1 o'clock today. FOMC members speaking. Don't think there'll be too much of an effect on that. Tomorrow, not much either. Consumer credit, 3 o'clock. Nothing really intraday, so that's good to see. Wednesday, just a 10-year bond auction. Looks to be the biggest thing of the week. Thursday, our normal unemployment claims, 30-year bond auction on Thursday as well. And then we end the week with consumer sentiment. So a pretty light economic calendar this week, right? Last week was obviously the heavy one. If we go back to last week, we knew very heavy, right? We had the jolts, we had the FOMC, we had the unemployment claims, we had all this on Friday. So a lot of stuff there last week. We got that all out of the way. Market seems to be maintaining itself into a week that really is relatively light. So not too much to focus there on the economic calendar. If we pull up the earnings calendar, we do have some interesting earnings this week, some ancillary names. And I say ancillary because they're not major names. They're not large cap like Apple and Amazons of the world. There's some of these ancillary names, such as, let's say, Palantir, Disney, Datadog, Celsius, Uber, Shopify, Affirm, ARM, Robinhood, Airbnb, Roblox, right? Some of these mid-cap type names. So you guys can see right here. Today, after hours, I know a lot of people are going to have eyes on Palantir, right? You got the Lucid earnings there. After hours today. Tomorrow, Disney should be an interesting one. Celsius, Datadog, big ones. Crocs, interesting. I don't know why Nikola even reports earnings anymore, but they do. So Nikola still has earnings there. So it looks like you got a pretty decent EV presence this week, right? Maybe something to watch out on Tesla, right? Because Rivian, Lucid could sort of affect the EV sector. Something to be seeing how Tesla reacts to those earnings. Twilio, Toast. This is one of the names that I've been sort of buying some shares in. Toast. I just buy. At times, I'll put some money into names, sort of like social arbitrage in a way. Things that I see very prominent in the world that I buy shares in. One of those was Uber, which did very well for me. And I think Toast is another one. Could be wrong in the short term, but I do like how much I see Toast around my local restaurants, and really wherever I go, I see restaurants using Toast. So been buying a few, some shares of Toast down at its current price. Long-term hold. Nothing I'm really interested in having a return on in the short term, but just a little insight there. I have been buying shares of Toast in my long-term portfolio. Very interested in this one right here, guys. You guys know I'm the one-eyed shop bull. If you guys know that, then you've been with me for a while. I've been buying shares of Shopify since the low 30s. Continue to have shares, up 100% on those shares. And I'm very interested in the weekly chart. You guys can see on the title of the live stream my favorite weekly chart, and that is Shopify. A very interesting weekly chart heading into this quarter earnings. So very interesting here on Shopify. Something I'll point out in today's live stream and talk about there. So some pretty decent earnings there. Something to be watching out for. Keep an eye on that earnings calendar as you trade this week. All right. Let's start with, I want to start with the NASDAQ. And I want to start with the one major level that we need to be watching today, and that is 18,000. You guys know we have had 18,000 in our sights, right? We've seen, let's go to last week. Let's just zoom in here on last week actually, let's go to the 1 hour chart and just look at the last few weeks, right? If we just zoom in here on 18,000, we have seen 18,000 be the level that the market has not been able to get above, right? Since this is back in middle of April, since the middle of April, we have not been able to get above 18,000, right? See this? This whole area right here, all of this price action since April 16th, April 15th to yesterday or to Friday, right, has been stuck under 18,000. All of this stuck under 18,000. We are above 18,000 this morning. Okay, this is very important. If we maintain over 18,000, I think that is a very good indication of potentially more upside. So this is definitely a level to be watching this week. 18,000. Big time. And this is not just short-term stuff, right? We got to go out. If we go out and zoom out, right, it's not just 18,000 over the last few weeks. This is 18,000 really since the beginning of this year, right? So let's now zoom into sort of some price action to the left, right? 18,000 right here. See that 18,000 there? 18,000 all right here. Previous rejections all at 18,000. right? 18,000, 18,000. And so we are now above that 18,000. That is very big. At least in my opinion, right? That is a sort of structured shift there for the market. If we hold above 18,000, and we can see here in the very short-term action, right? If we zoom in here on the short-term action, look at 18,000 this morning, guys. 18,000 was Friday's sort of rejections, and we are holding above that 18K here in the pre-market. So I'm going to be looking for pullback longs at 18,000 all day, right? That's going to definitely be my first thing to be looking for. If the NASDAQ gets a little pullback this morning, are we seeing maintain at that 18,000? And if we are, right, I know I could use that futures level as a potential long on either the QQQ, on some individual stocks, or even just on NASDAQ futures, right? So I will not be looking to short back into 18,000 today, right? I'm not going to just look to play short into that 18K. I know this is a major level, and I know we're above it today. So any pullbacks to 18,000, I think, is a reason to be looking for further upside. So that is the first thing I would make sure you have on your charts today. Let's make sure we know where we are compared to that 18,000 on the NASDAQ futures. If we do get continuation of upside today, my next level I'd be watching is right here at 18,140. You have some 18,140 lows right here. See these 18,140 lows? That is also the 50 daily moving average, the 50 daily SMA. That is right here at 18,140. So if we do get some upside today, right, be careful, just a little bit cautious at that 18,140 as we push higher. That's my first level of potential rejections that I would be paying attention to today on the NQ. All right, so 18,140 and 18,000 is that channel that we are in right now, at least what I'm watching as of right now. 18,140, 18,000, 50 SMA at that 18,140 as well. If we do break under 18,000, it seems like there's a little bit of a level here around this 17,920 in the extreme short term. So I did have this level on my charts, and I want to show you why I have this level on my charts under 18,000. Let me go into the 15-minute chart, and let me show you why I have a little bit of a level here at 17,920. Could be down to like 17,900. I think I put it at 17,900. I think that's the right spot to have it, 17,900, and let me show you why. So 17,900, below 18,000, you guys can see right here, that Tuesday high. See right here, from Tuesday of last week, we had that big downside, right? That big downside on Tuesday of last week, where did that come in, right? The reason we dropped last Tuesday, the reason we dropped so aggressively last Tuesday of last week was because of this 17,900 rejection right here. Right? See this rejection right here? 17,900. That was also the 20 SMA. That caused major downside off 17,900. So what we see here, and look at Friday, right? Look at how clear that was. See this Friday? 17,900. See how that held up right there and caused upside continuation? So if we do break down under 18,000, you're watching 17,900, right? So if we do break under 18, there could be some downside, but I would still be looking to see if that 17,900 is a hold level. Right? So you got 18,000, you got 17,900, and then under 17,900, you have the 20 and the 20 and 100 SMA right here at 17.8. So you have three very big levels, all 100 points away from each other, to be looking for pullbacks today. Right? Pullback longs, in my opinion. You got 18,000, 17.9, and this is a big one down here at 17.8. You can see 17.8, 17.8, 17.8, 17.8, and you have the 20 and 100 SMA right there as well. So some big levels down below, and all very clean, right? 18, 17.9, 17.8, three levels down below that I would be looking for if we get pullbacks this week, right? If we get pullbacks this week, those are the three levels I'd be watching. To the upside, you're watching that 18,140, which is the 50 SMA. And above that, it looks like you really just have this 18,350, right here, 18,350. So that's how I'm going to game plan these levels, right? That's how I create. These are the levels I created this morning. You guys, a lot of people ask me, how do you find your levels? Well, there you go, right? That's how I find my levels. I look back. You can see right here, 18,700. Or sorry. Dyslexia there. 17,800. 17,800. That's one of the levels, right? That 17,900 from the short term. And then our 18,000, which is that big one that I would be watching today. All right. All right. I think that's really the main levels that I'm watching. I really don't have much else there on the NASDAQ. If I get pullbacks, I will be looking for longs, right? If I get pullbacks, I'll be looking for longs. 17.8, 17.9, 18,000. Upside rejections, 17,140, and that 50 SMA. Above that, 18,350. All right. Let's go to the QQQ. QQQ, very clean as well. Let's go to the hourly chart. Let's look back, right? Our 435 level, you can see right here, our 435 level is holding very nicely this morning. That's going to be the first level I watch. 435 on the QQQ. If I zoom out, we can see there was a lot of reactions at our 435 right here. Right, look at this chart on the 1 hour. Right here, 435, 435, 435. A triple bottom previously at 435. After breaking below that 435, we saw the downside come in. We are back above 435. So right here, you can see 435 on the QQQ is a level. And if we zoom into the short term 5-minute chart, look at what 435 did here on Friday and this morning. 435 held. We're holding 435 again. As long as we're over 435, I think the QQQ can stay strong. This is similar to that 18,000 on the NASDAQ futures. So if we get pullbacks to 435 today, this would be a level I'd look to see if we could long off of. $435 per share on the QQQ. Under that, look at 433, right? Look at that right there on Friday. You guys know we've been watching that 433. 433 was that gap fill level, right? Remember that gap fill level we talked about multiple times? That was at 433. And look what else is at 433. You see this, that Tuesday high. You see these highs right here at 433, 433. You had a very clear rejections under that level last week, over the last few weeks at 433. And you can see on Friday, look how well we held above that. So if we get pullbacks today, 435, 433, two levels I'd be looking to see if the market can maintain. Very, very major levels. If we break under 433 at any point, that's where I think you could get your further downside to 430 again, right? Because of how we went up on that Friday, right? You can see right here. On Friday of last week, we went up pretty much straight up from 430 to 433, right? That's a straight up move there from 430 to 433. I'll zoom in on that, right? This was last Friday right here. We went straight from 430 to 433 without any kind of, price action, pretty much just a straight up move there. So if we do break under this 433 at any point in the future, then we'll probably drop to that 430 and that 20 SMA. But for now, there are levels below current price action, before you can start to think that we're going to drop to that level. You got the 435, you got the 433, and you got the 430 down below. All right? Those are the three levels that I'm watching to the downside. 430, 433, 435. Those are all pullback longs that I'll be looking for. All right? Under 433, I'd probably be more interested in the short towards 430. To the upside, got to go out to the hourly. Let me get a little bit more time here. To the upside, the first level that I'm watching here, it goes back all the way here, but I'll zoom in a little bit more. Right, it goes all the way back. That's 439. Let me zoom in a little bit here. 439, you can see right here. 439, 439, 439, 439 rejection. That's going to be my first rejection point to watch out for today. $439 per share on the Qs. Above that 439, you're coming into this level right here, which is 442.50. Okay? So my first level of potential rejections to be careful of today is 439. The next one would be 442.50. Those are two possible levels where the market could slow down to the upside. If I zoom in here, back to, this is back in This is the April 15th move, right? We talked about that move on the NQ futures. Look at 439 on April 15th, right? You can see right here, 439 caused a big time rejection. 439 was a reason we held here. 439 rejections all here, right? We can see a lot of reactions at that 439 level. So we need to be careful of 439, right, as we push higher. That is our first level to be careful of. If we start to fade towards that 439 today, right, we got to be careful of some rejections at that level today. So watch out for 439 to the upside. I would be wanting to be long on pullbacks to these key levels. The first one I'd be looking for is 435. All right. 435, 433, 430, 439 to the upside, 442.50. Those are my levels on the QQQ. ES. Another killer hold on the ES. And let me just sort of get this cleaned up, right? Without any levels on the chart here, guys. Here's your ES without any levels. No lines, no nothing. All we have on this chart right here is the SMAs, the daily SMAs. And you guys know I very much believe in daily SMAs. They have shown like all this upside. Look at the 20 SMA, this entire upside. You had holds of that daily 20 on the entire grind higher. Right? Once we broke that daily 20 right here, look at this, right? You have this very clear flip under. You are holding above the daily, or holding above that 20 SMA, this grind higher. And then look what happened as soon as we had a little short-term flip underneath it. We had that downside come in, right, under that daily 20. Now look where we came down into. 100 SMA, 100 SMA, 100 SMA. That ES just not wanting to give up that 100. Multiple attempts back down into that 100. And every time we came down into this 100 SMA, the ES continued to hold higher. So that is very key, right? Look at how this thing just held above that green line all of the last few weeks. Very important. And it looks to me like it's creating that next opportunity long, right? If you are longing in this area down here, it's looking very good for you at that daily 100 SMA. So very key there. Now, if we put some levels on the charts, there are some short-term levels to be watching out for. And that's how we have to trade it on the intraday, right? And so you can see right here, the first level that I'm going to be watching is 5180. 5180 was some previous lows right here, right? Right here, 5180, 5180, 5180. Some previous lows right there. Honestly, I might move this up for myself, like just to be cautious, just to protect myself. I may move it up to 5185. I think that's possibly the right level to be careful of. So 5185 might be where I have my level. Why? All right, why 5185? Because it's that daily 50, right? You can see right here. 5185 is, let me make this bigger here. 5185 is where that 50 SMA is sitting right above current price action. So if I zoom in again, see that yellow line right there that's running across your screen? That's the 50 SMA on the ES. And so if we do pop higher today on a pre-market upside, right, and you guys know no matter how strong sometimes that pre-market is, you do have to be careful of pre-market upside at times, right? Sometimes that pre-market upside is something that's given back. So we're on some pre-market upside right now, right? We're seeing that pre-market upside this morning. We're coming right into that 5185 level, and we're coming right into that daily 50 SMA. So I'm a little bit cautious of that level this morning, right? Because I can see, and I'll zoom out here because it's not just short term. I'll zoom out a little bit on the ES here. And I'll show you this 5185 level all the way back, right? We can go all the way back at 5185. Let's go all the way back to February, right? February and March. This is February and March right here. All this price action. Look at 5185. You can see right here. 5185, 5185, 185, right? 185, 185, 185, 185. Look at that one right there. So we definitely have a lot of reactions at 5185 here, and we are coming right into that level right there, right? 5185 in the short term. So this is going to be a big spot for the ES today. What happens at that 5185? What happens at that 50 SMA? That would be something I very closely pay attention to today. If you get above that level today, If you start to see the ES maintain that 51.85, then you're likely moving higher into that 52.15 right here. 52.15, 215, 215, 215. Okay? What would be my favorite pullback long, right? What would be my favorite pullback long today? 51.50. That'd be a beauty, right? Right here. 51.50, 51.50. That's last week's highs before Friday. See that 51.50 level? That would be a beautiful pullback long today if we could see it. So right here, let me zoom out. Here's 51.50. Right, you can see this is Monday of last week. 51.50 rejections. You can see right now we're holding above 51.50. So what would I look for? If I see downside today to give back some of that pre-market upside, I think 51.50 would be your key pullback long to look for. 51.50 or that 51.27, right? 51.27, 51.50, two pullback levels I'd be very interested in if we get pullbacks on this market for more upside, okay? 51.50, 51.27, have those on your charts. To the upside, be careful of that 51.85 today. That's the level I'd be careful of to the upside. SPY, 511.50. You guys know we had 511.50 on our charts. If you guys watched that video I provided about the key levels, if you guys are in the group and you had those key levels, 511.50 was one of my major levels that needed to break. And look at what the SPY is doing off that level right now. A beautiful 511.50 level. Let me go ahead and go back here. All right, look at 511.50. This is back in middle of April. 511.50, 511.50, 511.50, and the downside that came in under that level. 511.50, a very key level previously. Now look at what the SPY is doing above that level today. All right, look at this. 511.50, and look at where that 50 SMA is on the SPY. Right at 511.50 as well. So, pullbacks to 511.50 on the SPY, dream opportunity for potential longs in my opinion. That would line up with the ES 51.50. That would line up with the NASDAQ 18,000, right? If you can get NASDAQ at 18,000, QQQ at 435, SPY at 511.50, and the ES at 51.50, those would be some beautiful opportunities if we can get that pullback today. Definitely be looking to see if we get that today. I think that's very, very key, very crucial. Here's your hourly chart on the SPY, 511.50, first big one. Under that, 508, 508.50. You can see right there that Friday hold. If you guys caught that on Friday, congratulations to any of you out there that traded on Friday. If you long the SPY off 508.50, that is a beautiful trade, right? Look at how clean this was. That was Wednesday's high. That was FOMC high, right? I'm actually going to write that. FOMC high. That's the Q2. That would be Q2, right? Q2 FOMC high. Look at that. FOMC high. Look at that. Beautiful. If you took that on Friday, well done. That is a perfect break and hold over the FOMC highs at 508.50. Really clean there. So that's going to still be a level that I look for pullbacks into, right? If we come back into that 511.50 or if we come back into that 508.50, those are two very nice spots to be looking for on the SPY. To the upside, you're watching 515. Right, 515 was our previous FOMC low. All right, so if we go out, I got to find where that previous FOMC was. I think it was, if anyone can give me that really quick, FOMC meeting calendar. When was that last FOMC meeting? Because this level that I have, this 515, the previous one was January 30th. Is that correct? No, that can't be correct. It was, okay, March 19th. That was the last one. March 19th. Yeah, it was right here. Okay, here it is. I think this is it. Yeah, right here. So this is your FOMC low from March 19th. You guys can see right here. See this? March 19th, that FOMC low that I have on my charts right here. I noted that. That was 515. right there, right? 515. That was a big previous low that helped this market higher. Well, look at where we're trading into now. Right? We are trading right back into that low at 515. Bam, right there. So, what's the level we need to be careful of to the upside? 515, right? Right there, 515. Let's be careful into that today. Let's make sure we're not too aggressively long into that 515, where we can see that previous FOMC low, right? And where we can see in the short term some rejections right here, right? 515. See this? See this rejection? Rejection, rejection, support, right? 515, big level on the SPY. So if we do push higher into that level today, which we are right now, we could potentially see the market give back some of these gains. So if we do push higher here, let's be careful into that 515 level where there could be some weakness above. So 515, 511.50. Those are some big levels I'd be watching today on the SPY. It looks like right now there is some reactions here, like this Friday high. You guys can see right here, this 512.50. I'll keep a little eye on that, right? You can see there's some reactions right here. You can see this high, 512.50. You can see there's a little bit right there as well. We could keep an eye on that 512.50. I would be more comfortable being long at 511.50 though, personally. So 511.50, 515, big levels to watch there on the SPY. Russell Wilson, what a beautiful hold of the 200. So congrats to anyone that longed the Russell off the 200 SMA. You guys know we were sort of watching that 200 SMA. We were talking about it. We were saying how the Russell is maintaining above it. And look at how well it has now pushed off that 200 SMA on the Russell. Very nice right there. We are above, which is important, right? We are above the 2035. So that's big, right? You can see right here, 2035, 2035. We got above that. So that could be a nice pullback level to watch today. The rejection point to be careful of is 2070. 2070, above that, it looks to be around that 2120. Right in here is the level that would be above that, 2120. So what I would look for today, I'm going to zoom into the short term. You guys can see, I would look for either the pullback to 2035. I think that's a nice pullback long. I would be careful, though, of the 2070. We can very clearly see 2070 was a big high here. This was not just in the short term. Let me go back. All right, let me go back to the hourly chart and show you where else that was. I need a little bit more time. So if we look to the left, right, look right here is 2070. We're talking about that 2070 level. Look at what's happened at 2070 in the past, right? 2070, 2070. Look at all that 2070 action right there. So let's be careful of 2070. Let's be careful of that potential rejection on the Russell. If we do get that rejection, that 2035 is a nice long spot. So 2035, 2070, two levels to be watching on the Russell. If we get above 2070, I like that for more upside. Okay. Dow Jones, go out to that 4 hour. Dow Jones really held. If we sort of delete some of these lines, let's look at this larger term. Look how well the Dow held that 37.8. So 37.8, 37.8. That Dow held that 37.8 really well. So a nice hold on the Dow there at 37.800. We are above the 38.880. Let me go ahead and map that out. Let me show you the 38.880 here. So 38.880. Why 38.880 on the Dow Jones? Look at this. 38.880, 880. Look at this right here. This is the key spot right here. See this little flip? See this? Previous low that turned into a rejection. Right? See how clear that is right there? That is a nice flip on the market, on the Dow at 38.880. Very clear. Now, where are we at today? We're above that. So we are potentially flipping back above this area, 38.880. So if we're above 38.880 on the Dow Jones, I'd expect this to stay strong. Above 38.880, you can move higher into this 39.370, which is right here. 39.370, 39.370. is your next level to be looking for. All right? So very nice there on the Dow. This is probably the most important flip that you're looking at, is that 38,880. As long as you're above that, I like that Dow for more upside, and you're also right above that 100 SMA. So that's a good spot on the Dow. If you are trading the Dow Jones, I'd watch to see what happens at this 38,880. A little bit cautious of that 50, but then the major next level is up here at the 39.3. All right. All right. I think that's my read so far. I would really like for the market to give me a pullback, to give me a pullback, give back some of this pre-market upside, right? That's always what I like to see to long the market. I don't love longing the market on a gap and go, right? Gap and goes can be difficult. Gap and goes are hard to trust. Now, if the market is in a fully bull move, right, then we can start to try to trust some gap and goes. But traditionally, gap and goes are very hard to trust. And the best entry of the day is typically not after a large pre-market upside. So what would be the number one top opportunity of the day for me? It would be 511.50 on SPY. It would be 51.50 on ES, right? It would be NASDAQ 18,000, and it would be the QQQ 435. That's the number one opportunity of the day for me. If I could get that market to give me back some of that pre-market upside, right? Give back some of this sort of grind higher that we've seen in the pre-market, come back down to those levels, this would be the biggest opportunity of the day for me. Okay? All right. Let's get into some stocks. Tesla. So since Tesla's earnings and since the major upside, we've sort of consolidated here. We haven't really done much over the last 3 trading days. You guys know that if you've been watching the market. Haven't really been doing much over the last 3 days. What I do like on Tesla, as of now at least, is that we are still maintaining over that 180, right? We've seen Tesla really maintain that 180 level. We've definitely seen 180 create some type of a short-term low. So that's good, all right? We can definitely use this 180 level as a guide in our trades. So now if we drop this down a little bit closer, go to the 15-minute chart, all right? Look how well Tesla has sort of fought that 180. Every time it dropped into it, it's been trying to hold. It's been trying to hold. Every time it slips below it, it comes right back above it. So that 180 looks to be a very clean level to try to formulate some long ideas off of. Now, to the upside, we still need to be careful of right here, right? We can see that 186 looks tough. 186. Every time we get close to that 186, we see the rejections come in. So for now, there's a very clear channel that Tesla's trading in. It's 180 to 186. Very clear, right? Clear consolidation, possibly accumulation, right? Possibly just a nice accumulation area after the earnings, gave back a little bit of upside, accumulating between this 180, 185, 186, potentially leading to our next upside move. But for now, right, we want to be aware of the 180 demand, and we want to be aware of the 186 rejection points, 186 supply. If we get over 186, that's where I think you could get your next move, right? Your next move towards that 192 again. So what I would be watching today on Tesla is 2 things. I would be looking for 186 rejections, right? I'd be looking for 180 pullbacks, right? 180 longs. I'd look for 180 longs. I'd look for 186 shorts. And if we get over 186 and we hold above it, I'd be looking for that long over 186. Now, the other thing I'd be careful of, right, with Tesla is you have a lot of EVs reporting earnings this week, right? You got Lucid, you got Rivian. I would assume those affect Tesla slightly, right? So if Rivian reports poorly, if Lucid reports poorly, it's going to be about what they say about the EV sector more than anything, right? If they say EV sector growth is slowing or EV sector demand has been right? It's been lackluster, then Tesla might get hurt off that. Now, on the flip side, right, if Lucid comes out and Rivian comes out and says some good stuff about the EV sector, I think that's going to unleash Tesla a little bit. So definitely keep an eye on those EV earnings this week. They definitely, I think, will have some kind of influence against Tesla. So just make sure you know that if you're going to swing trade Tesla today or this week. Be careful swing trading Tesla through Rivian, through Lucid earnings. There will definitely be some effect of those names. All right. Nvidia, I mean, what a monster. Obviously Nvidia is a monster, and we there's no denying that. And again, Nvidia remains in its monstrous type moves. A very nice long again off this uptrending move, right? Look at this last few days of last week. Huge move to the upside. The level that is very important today, the most important level, at least in the short term. I'm going to give you my short-term look for short-term trading first, and then I'll give you a little bit of a larger-term view. But for now, right, I think the best spot to look for longs today on Nvidia is right here. This could be beautifully clean. I mean, just sexual is what I like to say. 885. 885 last week's highs right here. 885 hold here in the pre-market. If you get a pullback to 885 today, I would absolutely be looking for that pullback long. So 885, big Nvidia. If we get that pullback, look to see if that holds. If it does, right, then we could get that sort of pullback long on Nvidia today off 885. Keep an eye on that level very closely today. I think that could be a very large opportunity. If you get under 885, I wouldn't be as in love with it, right? I'd probably leave it alone until it gives me more pullback towards that 865, right? 865 is that 50 SMA. It's some of these lows from last week, right? So if we get under 885, I'd probably let that be until 865. This would be my next long spot. But I would be very zoned in on what Nvidia does at 885 today. I think that could be a very big opportunity. To the upside after 885, really all you're looking at is right here, guys, at that 910, right here. That 910 level, these previous rejection points. Above 885, I think Nvidia should sort of slide towards that 910, right? So 885 to 910 is my Nvidia zone. If we break under 885 today, I'd be looking at 865, all right? All right. AMD. I still think AMD is a long-term share type opportunity. I think AMD is very nicely off the highs. It's off now. What is it? Right about 30% off the highs. A 30% pullback on a stock typically is a good buying opportunity, right? So I've been sort of increasing the allocation of AMD shares in my long term. I've been wanting to get a little bit, just take a few shares down here, 30% off the highs. I'm not opposed to doing that at times. It's not like I'm going to put my life savings in it, right? But I'll put a little bit of share action into AMD where it's at, 30% off the highs. And you can see after its earnings report, you got that downside, right? You got that downside post-ER. But it really held pretty well around this 200 SMA, right? This 200 SMA down here has sort of been maintaining the price action. So I like that. I'm not going to say that AMD is out of the weeds because it's definitely not. AMD has been a sort of under pressure semiconductor name, which is a little concerning. But there are some levels to be watching to see how this sort of grinds higher. The first one I'd be watching is 153. I think 153 is important here. You have some major lows at 153. You can see right there. Some major 153 lows. So I'm going to be watching to see, okay, what does AMD do at 153 today? Does it try to hold? If it does, right, there could be a little long that sort of formulates here back into that 157 level, right? So 153, 157. If we really break it down to the short term, there is a level that was brought up to me this morning. It's that 151. You can see there's possibly a little 151 action here. So you can see that's that Friday high, right? And that's where we sort of gapped up here in the pre-market, 151. So you can see 151, 153 I think is very important. And below that, it's that 149. I'll be looking to see if AMD can start to build higher, right? I'm not going to really trust AMD on a gap up like this. It's just not something I like to do. You can see AMD is up quite a bit here in the pre-market already. So if we do break under that 153, I'll be looking for that more downside towards 151. But as long as AMD, in my opinion, is above 149, right? I'm going to delete this for now. As long as AMD is above 149, I think it is trying to flip the script here. You can see 149, 149, 149. We're back above that 149. So I'm going to look for pullbacks, right? I'm going to continue to look for pullbacks on AMD here. 153, 149 are my two major ones. You could also watch that 151. 151 is that high from Friday, which I think could have some influence as well. All right. To the upside, I'd be careful of this 20 SMA level right here, 157. All right. MU, big push higher this morning, big gap up, and a nice failed breakdown, right? This looked like a nice breakdown to me last week, but you can see it did a little bit. We were able to profit slightly on that pullback at that point, but you can see MU has returned, right, back over that 112 level. And after getting back above that 112, you can see what it has done here. MU is now back over 117. And let me show you the importance of 117 here. If I zoom out, 117 is a major previous low here. All right, so MU looks interesting for upside now. 117, 117. You can see look at all those previous lows at 117 on MU. And look at where it is holding above today, right? 117 here on MU is, I think, a very crucial level. So if we could see MU hold over 117, this could be looking for further upside, okay? 117, if we go to the 4-hour chart, look at how big that level is right here. That's big time. So I would look to see if MU is holding 117. Is there a long opportunity here? That's going to be something I definitely watch out for. I think you could probably get that thing up towards that 120 level off 117. So for me, MU 117 would be a nice pullback level to look for today. SMCI. SMCI. Does the 100 SMA, do we look back and say, wow, SMCI off the 100 SMA was a really nice hold? You're starting to see it, right? You're really starting to see it. So let me zoom in here on the 4-hour chart. Look at this 100 SMA here, 700 on SMCI. Look at how it continues to hold above that 100 SMA. That is something I would be very much focused on. 700, 100 SMA, really maintaining above that level. Even on this second pullback, another maintain of that level. I would be watching 800, of course, right? I'd be watching 800. I'd be making sure that I'm not too long into 800 because that's definitely a rejection point. But if SMCI gets over 800, I would say it's going to move into that 860. And if SMCI gets over that 860, it's going to start to sort of move higher again. So I would be very focused on the next few days on SMCI because I really like how this has maintained this 100 SMA, right? That looks pretty clear to me. Very clear wicking upside action off that 100 SMA. Definitely showing that there are people interested in buying at this level. So I'd be focused on that 100 SMA and SMCI. If you get any more pullback toward that level, I would look to see if that is another opportunity. I'd be watching 800. Over 800, I think you free up to 860. Meta. This is an interesting one today. Let me show you why. This is possibly one of my top watches today. So, Meta. Meta had previous lows from the previous gap up, right? We had a gap up here on Meta, and the lows of that gap up was $453 on the dot. Exactly 453. No cents, nothing. $453 was the exact low right here. 453 and 1 cent was the exact low right here from the previous earnings gap up. What you can see here, right, this morning, look at $453 per share this morning. Look at Friday and look at how it rejected that level. Look at today's gap up over 453. If Meta holds above 453, you are within the previous, the close, not the last earnings, but the one that just happened. You are in this gap, right here. You're in this gap above 453. And that would also be a hold above the previous earnings, the last earnings gap up. So if I see Meta holding 453, I think that is an opportunity for a move into 475. This is definitely something I'm going to be watching today. This is probably my top watch of the day. It's that 453 hold on Meta. So going to be watching that like a hawk today. What does Meta do at 453? If I see Meta try to maintain that level, I will absolutely be looking for longs off that level today. Another chart that looks just like this is Netflix, right? Let's go to Netflix. Let's go to the daily chart. Look at Netflix. Netflix held really strong at that 550. That was that previous low from the last earnings. Look at that 450 hold. Very strong hold at 550 on Netflix. Netflix now, if we go to the hourly chart, has had some very clear highs right here around $580 per share, right? So we had 580, we had 550. If we hold over 580, you are in right here, the earnings gap down, right? If you hold over 580, you are up above this rejection point and you are within this earnings gap down. So I will be watching Netflix over 580 today, right? If Netflix starts to show me that it wants to hold over 580, right, and start to maintain, right, this could be interesting as well. So Netflix and Meta, two interesting spots there that I would be focused on. Over 580 on Netflix and over 453 on Meta. Two very interesting watches there to have today. Quick view at Apple here, guys. Apple had a nice earnings move higher, and Apple is now over 180. So if you're looking at Apple, I think this is a very solid hold for now over 180. This could be a little bit of a flip in script here on Apple, right? Apple's been a very weak name. Nice upside on earnings. Nice hold over 180. And what I would be looking at today is, hey, 180 is both the 200 SMA and the 100 SMA. Those are monster SMAs, right? 200 and 100 SMA are the top two most important SMAs. And look at how Apple is maintaining over that 180 and maintaining over those SMAs. So what would I be looking for? Hey, if I see Apple at 180 and I see it starting to hold, is there a long opportunity off this level? That is definitely something I'll be watching for a push back into 187. So big watch there on Apple 180, guys. Not sure I'll trade it because I don't love how Apple trades in terms of options, but I definitely think that 180 is a key level to watch for the market. Let's go to let's get a quick peek in Amazon because Amazon has been a monster and Amazon is holding over a very key level right now. What is the key level? It's 185 right here. 185 on Amazon was some previous lows that created downside. And look at what Amazon is doing this morning and on Friday at 185. Look at this little flip that's going on right now. This is very clean. Look at this. 185, 185. Look how clear that rejection was at 185. Look at this morning, or look at Friday. Over 185, maintaining over 185. Look how clear this flip is. Rejection, rejection, to now possible support. I would absolutely be looking to see if Amazon is a long off 185 for a push into all-time highs. This is something I'd absolutely be watching today. Watch Amazon 185. Yeah, I think PANW is something to be paying attention to as well. This 295 level, you can see we've had some very clear rejections at 295, 295, 295, 295. Look at it sort of peaking above that level today. So yeah, I'd be watching to see if PANW can hold over 295. Very important there as well. We'll go over a few more here. We're running out of time, but Coinbase, yeah, I mean, Coinbase just came into that rejection point again. What is that, 233? Another pretty major rejection at 233. Looks like support. Looks like support is down here still. All right, I don't know if I really like that Coinbase channel. You can see it's still sort of in this channel. It's really not out of it yet. So you can see right here, Coinbase. I'd say it's 233 and then that 217 right there. That's your little channel there on Coin. I don't love Google. just dead. I'd wait for Google to wake up a little bit. All right, Google's been pretty sideways. I'd wait for it to wake up maybe over 170. That's something you could watch there. Oh, and then before we leave, right, there's the level, the chart I want to show you, right? This is how we'll end it. We'll go over the futures here after this chart. But I want to show you this Shopify chart. I want to show you the Shopify chart. I want to put this on your radar. I want to give you an idea of what I'm watching here before earnings. This is possibly the one and only earnings that I might play. I might play this. And before we go over this, if you guys could take 1 second and press that like button. We got about 2,000 of you here, 880 likes. If you could, press that like button for me. Get us over 1,000 likes. That'd be great. This is something I want to put on your radar, guys. This is a very interesting weekly chart. The last earnings that Shopify had after pulling back for an extended period of time was right here, and it was up 35%, that earnings, 37%. Last earnings, it was after a big push to the upside, so I could understand why it gave back a little bit, right? This earnings, it was down about 10% on that earnings move. And it's sort of been sliding lower since then, right? Sliding lower back into this $70 level. This is a very interesting weekly chart. This $70 level is key. You can see Shopify has sort of been on this general grind higher, right? It's been on this sort of grinding higher move, and you're about to have another earnings report. This earnings report is right as we come into this $70 technical level, and this is the weekly chart on a weekly break and retest. Very interesting here. Something I'm absolutely going to be watching. How does Shopify continue to maintain over 70? You can see, look at how strong that 70 level has been for the last few weeks. Look at this, just maintaining over that 70. Something I'll be watching. 75 looks like a level that needs to hold above. If I zoom out, let me get a little bit more time here. I would want to see Shopify hold over 75 in the short term for that next sort of structured leg higher. I'd like to see it hold over 75. But when I zoom out and I think bigger picture, that is a very intriguing weekly chart, right? And look at the weekly candle that was just put in last week. Look at that weekly candle right here, off 70. That is a big wick to the upside on Shopify, off that 70, off that weekly break and retest. This is interesting. Something I would be watching this entire week, guys. All right. NASDAQ continuing higher. Once again, the 18,000 level would be the key pullback for me today. I would love an 18K pullback. Be careful of 18,140. ES would love a 5150 pullback. Be careful of 5185. So let me just point out something before I go. The ES and NQ are both pushing into the 50 SMA on the market, right? You can see right here, 50 SMA ES, 5185. 50 SMA NQ, 5137, 5140. Both the ES and NQ are pushing into their 50 SMAs. This would be the first level I'd look for some rejection, and then a pullback long at our key demands. All right? All right, guys. I hope that was a good review for today. We will obviously be here every day this week, so I hope you look forward to that. If you want to trade live with me, go ahead and check it out down below in the description below. Yeah, that's about it. Let's have a good day. Be careful of these key levels we pointed out on the NQES. These are very important. Trade off our levels. Make sure we're setting up trades at key levels, not just in black zones, not in black holes in the twilight zone, right? Make sure that when we take a trade, it is off one of our levels. On the NQ, on the ES, on the SPY, on the QQQ. Setting up trades off levels, having plans, very important. Have a good day out there. Happy to be back. Happy to have you guys back. I appreciate all your support. Great tan. I appreciate that. And let's go Rangers, man. Let's go Rangers. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.